Do I have what? Yes, chapter 17 is out there. Several different versions of it. All right, so we're looking at this worksheet. Number 1 says, what's the correct adjustment to be made to the value of an 1,800 square foot comparable property which sold in an area where living area is valued at $110 per square foot if it's being compared to a subject property which is 1,700 square feet. I'm just going to go ahead and get in the good habit of sort of writing this out side by side so that you can see how to make the adjustments. We've got our subject property, we've got our comparable property, and the thing that we're adjusting for here is size of the property. Okay? And what do they tell us? The comparable is 1,800 square feet, and the subject is how big? 1,700. So talk to me about the adjustment. The subject 1,700, the comp is where? Up here. So which way are we going? Down. That's going to be a negative adjustment. So I'm going to put the negative sign here before I even do the math. And how many square feet do I need to adjust for? So it's going to be minus 100 times 110, right? Because they said it's 110 per square foot. $11,000. So that's a minus $11,000. And that's what they wanted to know was the adjustment. So our adjustment is negative $11,000. Is everybody okay on that one? All right, then number 2. What's the correct adjustment to be made to a recently sold comparable property that has 3 baths if the subject property has 2.5 baths, and then they give us adjustments that say that properties in the area, buyers are willing to pay $8,000 for a full and $5,500 for a half. So same sort of thing here. We got our subject, we've got our comp, and we're adjusting for baths. So how did I say we were going to list baths? We're going to separate them out. Do full baths and half baths. All right, and here's what we know. The comparable property has 3, so that's 3 full and 0 half, and the subject has 2 full and 1 half. Does everybody agree with that? Okay, so looking at full baths, it tells me my subject property has 2, my comp has 3. Which way do I need to adjust? Down. Is everybody good on that adjustment? That is a negative adjustment, and it's minus the value of a full bath. And how much did they say that was worth? $8,000. So minus $8,000. And then with the half baths, the subject is 1, the comp is 0. So which way am I adjusting? Up. And so that's plus what? 5,500. And they want to know what the correct adjustment is. Well, overall, that's negative, what, $2,500? Negative 2,500.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
So if it's negative and then positive, I don't understand how you just subtract.
What, you don't understand how to put a negative in the calculator? Is that what you're saying to me?
No, I mean, I know that. So you do 8,000, and then the
plus minus button. You got a button on there that just says plus minus,
okay.
And then that puts a negative sign, and then plus. No, 5,500. Does everybody know how to type in a negative number into your calculator? You can just type 8,000, and if you look, the calculator has a button on it. It's just got plus minus signs on it. Does everybody see what I'm talking about? You press that button, that puts the negative sign in front of it. Okay, everybody all right? Negative $2,500 adjustment. Now, number 3 wants you to take that adjustment and actually use it. Number 3 says, what's the indicated probable sales price of a 1,900 square foot subject property if a recently sold comparable home sold for $175,000 and had 2,000 square feet of living area in a neighborhood where living area is valued at $105 per square foot. So I'm going to set up my little chart here, subject, comp. And remember, always leave a little blank space at the top in case they ask you to do what adjustment. You need to do it first. Appreciation or depreciation. You always want to leave room to do that at the top, just in case you need that line. So the first thing we're adjusting for here is size. And they tell me that my subject property is how big? 1,900. My comp is 2,000. All right. Now, subject's 1,900, comp is 2,000. Which way am I adjusting? Down. So that's a negative adjustment. Minus. And it's minus how many square feet? 100 times, how much? 105. Okay. And I did forget to write down my sales price, my comp up here at the top is $175,000. New starting point. $10,500 negative. Everybody okay with that? I'm sorry? Is everybody okay with minus 10,500?
Yeah.
So what do we end up with for the indicated value of that property? We're just going to do the math. 175 minus 10,500. 164.5? $164,500. Okay, are you getting there in your mind about going the right direction? Because I'm telling you, yes, they are simple. They're super simple. They're also super easy to miss by adjusting in the wrong direction. You don't want to miss one of these because of that. All right, look at number 4. Number 4 says the subject property of a CMA has a lot that is $5,000 better than the lot of a recently sold comparable property. What would be the appropriate adjustment to make in this CMA? Is the adjustment made to the comparable property sales price or to the subject property? Well, we can answer that last question first. What's the adjustment going to be made to? The comp. We always adjust the comp. So here's how I would write this out. Subject, comp, and we're adjusting for the lot. Here's the problem. They told me that the subject property of a CMA has a lot that's $5,000 better. I can't use that statement because what do I have to work with? I have to work with the comp. So restate that. Say it again from the opposite perspective. Don't look at it from the subject perspective. Look at it from the comp's perspective. It's not that the subject is better, it's the comp is what? Worse. So on the comp side here, I'm going to write worse by $5,000. I'm not trying to do the adjustment. I'm just writing it out so it tells me what the adjustment is. Does that make sense for everybody? Now I'm ready to do the adjustment. Here's my subject. Where's my comp? It's down here. It's worse. So which way am I adjusting? Up by how much money? $5,000. That's a plus $5,000 adjustment. Everybody okay on that one? All right, number 5. Number 5 is getting into much more of what you could expect as far as an actual CMA question, because they're giving you several different adjustments to make. It says, what's the indicated value of 123 Main Street, which has 2,300 square feet, 2.5 baths, and a 2-car garage, if it's compared with 989 Oak Drive, which is 2,300 square feet, 3 baths, and a 2-car garage, which sold for $320,000 in an area where square footage is valued at $140 per square foot. A full bath is worth $9,000, a half bath is worth $5,000, and a 2-car garage is worth $12,000. So now we're sort of putting it all together and coming up with a value for this thing rather than having just one adjustment to make. I gotta make 3. Everybody okay on that? So what I'm gonna do is set up my little list here, or whatever you want to refer to it as. Chart, subject property, comparable. I'm going to leave myself room for an appreciation adjustment even though they didn't ask for it. What things do we see that we need to list about these properties? They give me the size, they give me the bathrooms, and they give me garages, right? Okay? So, size, and I'm not going to write baths. What am I going to write? Full bath, half bath. I'm going to write garage, so am I going to write 2-car garage and 1-car garage? 2-car and 1-car, because we need to separate those out as well, see if we need to adjust them. All right, 123 Main Street is 2,300 square feet, 2.5 baths, and a 2-car garage. So 2,300 square feet, 2 full baths, 1 half bath, and I'm going to put yes for the 2-car garage and no for a 1-car. Is everybody okay on how I wrote that out? The way I set it up. And I'm going to do the same thing for my comparable property. Here's what I know about the comp. How big is it? 2,300 square feet. And then how many baths? 3 full. 0 half. A 2-car garage? Yes. 1-car garage? No. All right. And how much did it sell for? 320. So let's look at things and see if we need to adjust. Remember, we're always adjusting. Now here's going to be something to remember. You don't adjust column to column just because it happens to be beside each other. If you have 3 comps, you adjust each comp back to the what? To the subject. You're always adjusting back to the subject. Well, this one only have 1 comp, so we're adjusting this comp back to this subject. 2,300 subject, 2,300 comp. Do we need to make an adjustment? No. Nope, that's a 0. They're already the same. Full baths, do we need to make an adjustment? Yes. Here's my subject with 2 full baths. Here's my comp with 3. Which way do I need to adjust? Down. I need to come down by how much? $9,000, because that's what they told me was the value of a full bath. Everybody okay with that? And then I look at half baths. The subject has 1, the comp has 0. So do I need to make an adjustment? Yes. Yes? Which way? Up by how much money? Plus $5,000. Garages, I don't need to make an adjustment. All good. So that's going to be 320, excuse me, minus 9, which is what, 311 plus 5, 316? $316,000. Okay there?
Yep.
All right, go ahead and answer number 6. All right, what are we doing here? We got our subject property. We got our comp. It says a comparable property is 125 feet smaller than the subject. I can use that because it's talking about the comp, so 125 smaller. So here's my subject, here's my comp. Which way am I going? Up. Positive adjustment. And so it's going to be plus, and then that's $40 a square foot times what? 125, so plus $5,000?
Yes.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
All right, adjustments plus 5,000, good. Number 7 says a prospective seller has asked a broker to help him estimate a reasonable selling price for his property. Properties in the local market are appreciating at a rate of 2% per year. Using the sales comparison approach to value and using just one comparable property that sold for $187,200 7 months ago, what adjustment should the broker make to account for appreciation in value? All right, so this is appreciation, right? All right, so I've got my subject, got my comp. I know my comp sold for $187,200. All right, and for time or appreciation, I know I need to go up by how many months? 7 months. Plus 7 months. Everybody okay on that? Okay. Now, I need to figure out my annual appreciation, which is 2%. So I'm going to take $187,200. I'll bring it down here. Times 2% annually. That equals $3,744. Divided by 12, because that's annually, so if I divide that by 12, I should get monthly, correct? $312 a month. And they want 7 months of it, right? So that's going to be over here plus 312 times 7, which is plus how much money? $21.84. Okay. So plus $21.84. And that gives us a grand total, 187.2. Oh, they just wanted the adjustment. They didn't even ask for what they just wanted the adjustment. So the adjustment is plus 21.84. Feel okay about that? All right, I want you to do number 8. Write out your chart. All right, ready to set it up? Okay, so here's what we know. A comp recently sold for $70,000. And here's what they told us about it. It said that sales prices had increased by 2% since the date of the sale. So the first adjustment we're going to make is what? Appreciation. And what they told us is that is plus 2% since the date of the sale. Not 2% annually, but 2% plus since the date of the sale. That make sense for everybody? Yes? No? Yes. 2% since the date of the sale. So all we need to do is take 2% of what number? $70,000. So that's a positive or negative adjustment? Positive. So plus what? $1,400. Everybody get that adjustment there? And did you do it first? Yes. Good. Good. All right, what else did they tell us about here? All right, they said a location. And they said, as far as location goes, the subject is better by what? $1,000. I can't deal with that statement. What do I need to do with that statement? Reverse it. Make it about the comp. So comp is what? The comp is worse by $1,000. Okay? What else did they tell us here? Site features. The subject is better by 500. And so what am I going to make? How am I going to write that out? The comp is worse by $500. And I have to do it that way because I'm only adjusting which one? The comp. All the adjustments have to happen on the comp side. Number 3, size. It says the comparable is better by $1,600. So size, I'm going to write the comparable better by how much? $1,600. $1,600 better. And then last but not least, they say that the condition, the comparable, is $800 better. Are we ready to make the adjustments now? Okay. So location, here's my subject. I don't even know anything. I don't even need to know anything about the subject because I know what the comp is in relation to it, correct? So what is my comp? Is it worse or better? Worse. It's worse, so which way am I adjusting? Up. It's a positive adjustment. They don't have to do any math, so plus what? Plus $1,000. All right? Site features. Subject's here, comp is worse, so which way am I adjusting? Up by 500. The size. Here's my subject. My comp is what? It's $1,600 what? Better. So which way do I need to adjust? Down. Is everybody okay with that? That's a $1,600 negative adjustment. If you're not getting that, if you didn't already have it, this should be, you shouldn't be writing it down and this is the first time you've seen it. You should have already done this. So if you didn't do it the first time yourself, you need to speak up now. Don't be embarrassed. Nobody's judging. I promise. You need to say what's not clicking about this for you because I need to talk you through it because it's only going to get more difficult to make these adjustments if you aren't understanding these very basic ones here. Condition. Subject is here because you always start with the subject here. And then where is the comp? Better. So which way do we need to adjust? Down by $800. And then it just becomes simple arithmetic from there, right? What'd you end up with?
Plus.
70,500?
Yes.
70,500 total is your probable sales price for your subject property. Okay, we all good on that? That's all about knowing which direction to go. Oops. All right, I'm gonna leave you number 9 for homework, because it's very similar to what we just did. All right. Now number 10 is where we get to the verbal diarrhea. This is what they look like on the test. See, you shouldn't say, oh my God. It's the same thing we just did, except it's more than 1 or 2 adjustments, right? It's just going to be several things. So here's what you need to do. Figure out a way to get past the intimidation factor of it being a lot of words. What are you going to deal with? One little piece at a time. And you're going to mark that piece out and you're going to deal with the next piece. You're just going to deal with it piece by piece by piece. The other thing I recommend you do, and I always recommend you do this, and I know some of you refuse to listen to me, and that's okay, but I would encourage you to listen to me. Resist the temptation to do the math until you've gotten everything written down. You will be much better off to list everything out. And you know why this becomes intimidating for people? Because you're constantly trying to jump in and out of it. It becomes intimidating at the pool if you jump in and out every 30 seconds. You get in and stay in, it's a lot better. Does that make sense? So what I want you to do is list everything. Get your whole chart set up side by side. And then you can do the adjustments looking at the chart. Because here's what's going to happen. Otherwise, you're going to say, okay. Square foot, okay, this was 2450, and it's 2600. Okay, let me do my square footage. And how much? 110. Okay, I gotta do that. And you might get that one done. And then you go back and you go to pick it up, and you're like, okay, 1 car attached garage. Meanwhile, you skip right the hell over 2.5 baths, right? And you know why you skipped over it? Because you're jumping in and out and back and forth, and you cannot keep up like that. Get yourself organized. Okay? And the best way to get yourself organized is to just list everything about both the properties side by side and then come back and do the adjustments. Does that make sense for everybody? So that's the way we're going to work through this. All right? Calmly. We're going to take a deep breath, right, Jocelyn?
Yeah.
She's hyperventilated 3 times already. All right? So we know we're doing a CMA. We're going to just start our chart. Subject property. Compare, take a shot. My help. A licensee is preparing a CMA in connection with listing a house for sale. The 2-story house is 7 years old and has vinyl siding. I'm just going to start listing everything I know about this thing, and then I can compare them side by side. So my subject house, I'm going to put what do I always put as my first adjustment here? Appreciation or depreciation, right? So, come on, Grace. Appreciation. And then the second one, I've got age. And what do they tell me about my subject property? 7 years. What's the next thing they tell me? It has vinyl siding, right? So I'm just going to write, guess what? Siding. And that's going to be vinyl for my subject. Because I don't know what they're going to ask me to adjust for. I'm just making a list of things. The next thing they give me is size. I'm going to write size and how big is my subject. 2,450 square feet. 3 bedrooms, so put beds. And they give me full bath and half baths. Full bath is 2, right?
Yes.
It's 2.5, so the full bath is 2. Half baths is 1. Everybody okay with that so far?
Yes.
The other thing they tell me is it has a 1-car attached garage. Okay? So we're going to put 1-car garage and 2-car garage. So it has yes on a 1-car and no on a 2-car. Is everybody all right with that? And then it says it has a bonus room over the garage. So I'm just going to put bonus. Yes. And then recent kitchen and bath upgrades valued at $20,000. So I'm going to put upgrades Yes. And I'll put in parentheses 20 grand, just to remind myself. Does that make sense for everybody? Notice I have not done any math. All I did was list everything out with this thing. Everybody okay with that? Just made a list. Talk me through, what do I have for those same things on my comparable property? What do they tell me about the comparable property? This is the first thing they tell me about it. It's how old? 8 years, okay. What else? What's next? Vinyl siding. What else? 2,600 square feet. How about bedrooms? 3 beds. How about baths? 2 full and 1 half. How about a 1-car garage? No. How about a 2-car garage? Yes. Say anything about a bonus room? Does it say anything about a bonus room? No, we don't know. What about upgrades? No. Okay. Okay. What else it tell us about the comp? Hopefully it better tell us what it sold for. Well, how much did it sell for? $253,000. And then what was that, Xenia?
5% appreciation for the past year.
5% during the past year, but how long ago did it sell?
6 months ago.
So we're going to write plus what? 6 months. We're not going to write plus 5% because it's 5% per year, but it didn't sell a year ago. We're going to write what? Plus 6 months. Do we have everything listed now to actually do our adjustments? Does that make sense for everybody? Now, you don't need, here's the beauty. Do you need to go back to the verbal diarrhea on the paper anymore? No, you've got everything listed right here for you as far as your adjustments go. You need to go back to the paper to get the adjustment amounts, but the actual changes are listed out for you. So let's look at the first one is appreciation. Is that a positive or a negative? That's a positive. So we know that's going to be a plus. And it's plus 6 months worth. So I'm going to do my work over here in between, in the blank space between the 2 columns. What's my work look like? $253,000 times 5%. Okay, so $253,000 is $12,650 per year, right? Is everybody okay with that? And then what am I going to do? Divide it by 12 to break it down to monthly. And that's $1,054.17-ish. Everybody okay with that? And we said that was plus, so plus $1,054.17. There's your first adjustment in place. Does that make sense for everybody?
No.
No?
That's 1 month.
Oh, that's 1 month. Thank you. Thank you. You're right. That's what I got y'all for, to keep me straight. That's 1 month. So times how many months? 6 months. That's better. So that's plus $6,325 basically? $63.25? Everybody okay with that? Good? All right, what's the next thing we need to adjust for? Did they give us an adjustment for age? No, so we can't do anything with it. They didn't tell us anything about it. Don't sit there and bang your head against the wall. There's nothing we can do with it. Move on with your life. What about vinyl siding? Do we need to make an adjustment for the siding? No, because we've got vinyl and vinyl. Size. Do we need to make an adjustment for the size of the property? Yes, we do, because our subject is here at 2,450. Our comp is up here at 2,600, so which way do we need to adjust? Down by 150 square feet. So that's going to be minus, and I'll do my work over here on the side again, 150 times, how much did they say a square foot was worth? 110. What is that, 16,500? Is that right? So minus $16,500 is my adjustment for square footage. We all okay with that? All right. Bedrooms, do we need to make an adjustment? Nope.
200 square feet times 100, what is it?
It's 150 square feet.
50, okay.
2450 versus 2600. Bedrooms, we don't need to make an adjustment. Full baths, do we need to make an adjustment? Nope. Half baths? Nope. One car garages? Yes. So the subject has a one car, the comp does not. Which way are we adjusting? Up by the value of a one car. And how much they tell us a one car was? $10,000. All right, two car garages. Subject does not have one. Comp does have one. So which way do we need to adjust? Down by the value of a two car. How much do we say a two car is worth? $15,000. All right, we got one that's got a bonus room and one that does not, but did they give us any kind of an adjustment to make with that? Nope. So we move on with our lives. Upgrades. Subject is upgraded, comp is not. Which way do I need to adjust? Up. And what's the value of the upgrades? $20,000. So that's plus $20,000.
Why do the upgrades they go, but as far as renovation, they don't, there was something that doesn't go up, or doesn't move.
I don't know what you mean.
Maintenance.
Yeah. Something, redecorating.
Y'all are in capital gains.
Oh. Okay, so that's gonna do this. Okay.
Not a thing on
Well,
earth.
that's what we're missing. It's in our brain was the next stuff.
No.
So, what don't you adjust for the age and for the, there was something else we didn't adjust, you said they were asking for it.
Did they give you an adjustment for it? They can give you an adjustment for it. And ask yourself the question in reality. Why don't I adjust for a 7-year-old house versus a 6-year-old house? It's the same thing. Isn't that the same thing in the real world? A 7-year. Now, is there a difference between a 5-year-old house and a 35-year-old house? Yeah, you'd probably be making an age adjustment there. But 7 and 6, and haven't we really already adjusted for the bonus room? The square footage. Didn't we take that adjustment already? It's just extraneous information. But the key here is they gave us all these other adjustments. They didn't give me that one, so what am I going to do? Leave it alone. Just leave it alone. All right, what'd you come up with for a total value of this thing? If you start at $253,000.
257,735.
257, how much?
735. Well, hell.
257, 825. Let's check that. $253,000 plus 6325 minus 16,500 plus 10,000 minus. Okay, yep, that's what I got. 257,825. All right. So see, again, it's not. Got you, Joey. I'm coming. It's not about. Don't overly complicate it just because it's a long question. It's really just a series of making small little math adjustments. Is everybody okay with that? Yes, ma'am, Joey.
When we're looking at the upgrades, is it like a certain dollar value if the kitchen is upgraded or if the bathroom is upgraded? Because I know when we say cost, like it doesn't matter if somebody spent $20,000 upgrading their kitchen or $50,000 upgrading their kitchen.
They used an important word. What did they say about the upgrades? Valued at $20,000. That's what we care about. If they had used the word costing, you might be on the lookout to see if there was some but valued at such and such. If they gave you both, you would use valued, right? I don't think they ever will. But the word valued means it doesn't matter what the upgrades cost, we value them at $20,000. The cost doesn't factor in, it's the value. Because that's what we're trying to predict what a buyer would pay for this thing. That's ultimately the whole point of this, is to predict. Remember, we're trying to come up with a listing price here, or what a buyer should offer on this property. We're trying to predict what a probable sales price, what would this property sell for? And we think it would sell for what? 257,825. Yes, ma'am.
Where do you find the numbers, like the 10,000 and the 15,000?
Where'd you find them?
In the real world.
Oh, you want to know the real world. You don't think there's a little handy dandy guide somewhere?
Yeah, where is it?
It ain't. When we first started talking about this earlier, I gave you a very simple example. I said, if you saw two houses in the same neighborhood that was almost identical, except one had a fireplace and one didn't have a fireplace, and they sold, and there was $1,500 difference in the prices, what was the value of the fireplace? $1,500. So to expand that knowledge to your question, to come up with these adjustments, what you have to do is compare lots and lots of sales in a neighborhood so that over time you can see, well, square footage is worth this, a garage is worth this, a bathroom is worth that.
Could you look at an appraiser's report from the same neighborhoods for a previous house?
Could you cheat off of somebody else's work? Is that what you're asking?
Reference an appraiser's report?
Yes, you can always cheat off of somebody else's work as long as it's still relevant. And so you, as a broker, you're not going to get good at this for a very long time. Because obviously, the math of this is super easy. What do you think the art of this is? Coming up with the adjustments, right? Knowing that that garage is worth $10,000 is the art of doing this thing. And you don't learn to recognize that until you've done hundreds and thousands of these things over and over and over, and you really know a neighborhood. Because all these numbers are going to be different neighborhood to neighborhood. Very different. Very different. Yes, ma'am.
So I understand that let's say, the size, the square footage, that's gonna be in every comparable. But as far as upgrades, when it says value, you said it doesn't matter if somebody's paying $27,000 for a kitchen. It doesn't matter what you pay, but how would they value the upgrades at $20K or at a certain price for something?
That's the same question she just asked. What would you have to do? You'd have to find two properties that had sold, one that was what? Upgraded, and the other that is not, and look at the difference in the sales price between the two. That's the only way you can come up with a value. And here's the thing, that data's there. If you look at most neighborhoods, if you look at a neighborhood of 30-year-old houses, are there going to be some that have sold with upgraded kitchens and some that have not sold, have sold with the original kitchens in them? And if you look at that, and for the most part there's a $20,000 to $30,000 difference, you can probably say, okay, well, an upgraded kitchen's worth $25,000 in this neighborhood. No matter what they paid for it. Because that's what the difference is. Yes, sir, Tom.
So, let's say, like, you know, like, a highway gets built by a house, he's the first guy that wants to sell, so you know the highway appreciates the value. How would you appraise that one? Because you can't appraise it there.
Yeah, and that's a good question. So you know that some impending change is coming that's going to change the value of the property. That's really tough to do in advance. And that becomes really hard with things like eminent domain. So like if you think about eminent domain, if they were coming and taking, so let's say they're taking a little portion of his property for the highway. Well, they have to pay him for the loss in value as a result of the taking. But the loss in value is not just going to be the taking of the land, it's going to also be the overall loss in value of the property. It's very hard to predict things like that, and people getting knocked down, drag out fights about it.
Would we be able to appraise a house like that, or would we
Very
be
tough.
appraisal?
You probably have to hire an appraiser on something like that. And even with hiring an appraiser, what you would be looking for is other similar neighborhoods that have had road development nearby and seeing what happened with, you know, the kind of median price points in that neighborhood before and after the road to kind of get an idea of what it would do in this neighborhood. It's always about those comparisons. The more data you can get, the better off you are. But that's a tough one, real tough one. And it's always tough, like to go back to your question, if I'm selling the first house in the neighborhood where somebody's come in, somebody's got to be the first one to upgrade a kitchen in a neighborhood, right? And if you build a new construction neighborhood, for some period of time, everybody's kitchen is the same in the whole neighborhood. Whether that's 5 years or 10 years or 12 years, at some point, somebody gets sick of the kitchen the builder put in their house and they do what? They upgrade. And at some point, you as a real estate broker are going to be the one selling that first house in the neighborhood that has the upgrades. And what I'm telling you is that it's a very imperfect world in that case, because you're going to be really flying blind about what those upgrades might be valued at, because you don't have anything to compare to.
Is there any way that you can, like, say, you're in a neighborhood and someone wants to upgrade their kitchen, and it's gonna be like $27,000, like I mentioned, can they see if anyone in the neighborhood has upgraded their kitchen? Because it probably wouldn't be right, not right, it probably wouldn't be in their best interest to do a kitchen if you know it's not gonna sell for what they paid for it.
Right, so you're talking about a return on it from a return on investment. Sure, a real estate broker can see that because we can see the recently sold comps, and so you can go through. And people say, well, how am I gonna know if they upgraded their kitchen? It ain't hard, folks, they advertise it, right? You start looking through recently sold comps. If somebody renovated their kitchen before they put it on the market, what's gonna be the first thing you see in the remarks about that property? Brand new kitchen, right? And so it's gonna be detailed out there. So you could certainly go and look at, well, what are things selling for in my neighborhood without the kitchen renovations, and what are they selling for with the kitchen renovations? There's a $25,000 difference. It's going to cost me $30,000 to renovate the kitchen. I'm better off not doing it. Does that make sense for everybody? That's what you're asking, right? Yeah. And of course, they may find the exact opposite. Here's what you'll find generically. It has nothing to do with this chapter, but just generic advice. Putting lipstick on the pig works. Granite is granite is granite, and stainless is stainless is stainless. Are there varying costs of granite countertops? Hugely varying costs. Are there varying costs of stainless steel appliances? Hugely varying costs. If you are renovating a property for the specific purpose of selling it, get the lowest level granite, get the cheapest stainless steel appliances. It doesn't matter what brand they are, it just matters that they have new stickers on them. Put in granite countertops. It doesn't matter what color the granite is, it doesn't matter how many swirls it has, none of that matters, because none of that's coming back from a buyer, because the buyer's not in there long enough to appreciate those things. The buyer walks in and like, oh, he's got granite. That's literally the extent of the conversation about the countertops. So you get the same return on investment from the $25 per square foot granite as you do the $90 per square foot granite. We would love to think the buyer's going to go, oh, this granite's so much nicer. Very few of them do. I'm not saying that person's not out there, but very few of them do. And of course, as you go up in price point to higher end homes, that matters more. But for the most part, if you're renovating specifically for the purpose of putting it on the market, you want to hit the buzzwords. You want the granite counters, you want stainless appliances, and you want hardwood floors, but you want to go to the lowest level possible of those things. It's like, I would probably much rather buy a house that has old carpet in it than a house that has new carpet that was put in for the sake of selling the house. Because if it was put in for the sake of selling the house, you can rest assured that it was the cheapest, rattiest mess they could find at Lowe's for $1.67 a square foot. So I'd much rather than pay them for carpet that I'm not going to like in 6 months because it's going to stretch and it's going to bubble and it's going to come apart and run, I'd rather just buy it and put the carpet in myself. But if you're renovating it for that purpose and you want that wow factor because it sells, you want to go the cheapest route possible. That's just kind of side advice. We all understand how this process is working? This is the sales comparison approach, all right? So, we've already talked about number 11. I'm going to skip over that one. But I want you to look at number 12. All right. Number 12 is not nearly as difficult as it would seem. So look at number 12. It says, based on the information below, what's the value of the subject property realistically? And they give you 3 comps. They give you a subject and they give you 3 comps. Now, generally speaking, we would immediately start comparing the comp back to the subject, correct? So let's do it. Comp number 1, the subject is 1,200 square feet. The comp is how big? 1,300. So which way do we need to adjust? Down. We need to adjust down. How much is a square foot worth?
$40.
Now, yeah, that's all right. I appreciate it. We don't know. Do you notice that? They didn't give us the what? The adjustment. They didn't tell us what a square foot is worth. But they actually did. Because if you look at the comps, can you isolate two comps that are exactly the same except for square footage? Look at comp number 1 and comp number 3. The bedrooms are the same, the bathrooms are the same, but what's different? That's square footage right there. And the other thing that's different is that sales price. So if the only difference between those two properties is that 200 square feet, what we must know is that buyer was willing to pay $8,000 more for the extra what? For the extra square footage. Does that make sense? Because otherwise they're identical. The only thing that could account for the extra $8,000 is the what? Square footage. So what you can do is make a note for yourself down here, and you can say, well, 200 square feet is worth how much money? $8,000. Which means 1 square foot is worth $40. Everybody see that?
Okay, so wait a minute, 1 square foot, $40.
Do you understand how 200 square feet is worth $800?
Yes, I do.
Okay. If you bought 10 hamburgers and it cost $20, how much would it cost per hamburger? Stop touching on that calculator and listen to me. I'm talking to you. When you ask the question, I'm talking to you. If you bought 10 hamburgers and they cost $20, how much does each hamburger cost? How'd you do that? It's the same exact thing. If 200 square feet costs $8,000, can't you divide by the 200 to get to 1 square foot? Same exact math. So you already know how to do the math. You just put a roadblock up for yourself. Right? We all do. We all do. We all know how to. It's just basic consumer math. Is everybody with me on that? How we got to $40 a square foot?
Yes.
No?
So you take the $8,000 and you said you divide it by, the 200 square feet, and you divide it by?
Take $8,000 and divide by 200 square feet. If you ask yourself a simple question, get it out of real estate. If you went to McDonald's and bought 10 cheeseburgers and they cost $20, how much do they cost each? And why did you know that? But no. See, don't go, I just knew. That's what we all do. Put into words what you just did and then do the same thing. What did you do? You took the amount of money and divided by what? The number of... No, get out of that. Do the cheeseburgers. Because if you can understand that, you can I'm working on the... See, this is what you have to do. Stop trying to solve a problem you don't know how to solve and solve the one you do and then apply that knowledge. Does that make sense? You took the $20 for the 10 cheeseburgers and divided it by what? The number of cheeseburgers. So take the amount of money and divide by the number of the things you get, right? And so what does that end up with? $40 a square foot. Is everybody okay there? And I'm not picking on you. Everybody does that. Again, that's what I meant when I said to Zine, you put up a mental roadblock. This is math you know how to do because it's just basic consumer math. And listen, don't beat yourself up over that. If 200 square feet is worth $8,000, how much is 100 square feet worth? $4,000. You can break it down like that for all I care. As long as you break it down in something that you can work with, okay? Just don't freeze up. Everybody all right with that? So, can we make an adjustment now for square footage since we know what the square footage is worth? Yeah, so look at, let's go back to comp number 1 and our subject. Our subject's 1,200 square feet. Our comp is how big? 1,300, so which way are we adjusting? Down by how many square feet? 100. And how much is the 100 square feet going to be worth? So minus $4,000. Is everybody with me on where that adjustment comes from? Because it's 100 square feet, 1,200 versus 1,300. And how much is each square foot worth? $40. Everybody okay there? 100 square feet at $40 a square foot. That's $4,000. And it's down because the subject here and the comp is up here. Do we need to adjust for bedrooms? No, 2 and 2. Do Do we need to adjust for baths? No, 2 and 2. Now, we're just looking at comp number 1. Work our way through comp number 1. Are we good on comp number 1? So do we have a value for comp number 1? What is it? $116,000. Is everybody okay with that? That's comp number 1. So now we need to do comp number 2. That's the way you do. You work across to the next comp. So square footage. Subject property is 1,200 square feet. The comp is 1,300. Which way do we need to adjust? Down by how many square feet? 100. How much money is that worth? So that's minus $4,000. Do we need to make an adjustment for bedrooms? No. 2 and 2. Do we need to make an adjustment for bathrooms? Yes. 2 baths in my subject and 1 bath in my comp. Subject is 2. Comp is 1. So which way do we need to adjust? Up. Question is, by how much? Because again, they did not tell us, right? But can we find it? Look at 1 and 2. Are they the same square footage was?
Yes.
Are they the same bedrooms?
Yes.
What's different? And what? Price. How much was that buyer willing to pay for that extra bathroom? An extra $10,000. So how much is the bathroom worth? $10,000. So what's our adjustment going to be here to add 1 bath? Plus $10,000. Is that everything we need to come up with the value for comp number 2? Nope. Get it out of the way. So 110 minus 4,000 plus 10,000. What do we end up with? 160. You notice a trend here? We'll do number 3. Subjects, how many square feet? 1,200. How many square feet in comp 3? 1,100. So which way do we need to adjust? Up by how much money? Plus $4,000. Do we need to adjust bedrooms?
No.
Nope. Do we need to adjust bathrooms? Nope. So what does that end up with? $116,000. This is about finding the differences. And the reason you knew you had to is because they didn't what? They didn't give them to you. They did not give you the adjustments. So you had to find them. You had to make that comparison and find them. They did not give them to you. You had to find them first and then use them. Now here's what you don't do. And here's what you don't do. You better listen. Because some of you are going to do it. Even though I'm about to say this, some of you are going to do it. You cannot sit there with these things and take 1,300 square feet and multiply it times $40, and then 2 baths must be worth another $20,000. You can't build a house like it's made out of Legos. It doesn't work that way. Okay, is everybody with me on that? Don't ever do that. Don't go, oh, it's $100 a square foot times 1,600 square feet plus the bathroom. No. No. Somebody will do it. Don't do it. They'll give it to you as an answer choice as well. All right? That is the sales comparison approach. So for your homework, I want you to go ahead and finish. You should do number 13 as well for homework. And let's go ahead and take our lunch break and be back at 1:35. Yes.